Hello and welcome everyone to this edition of our Tri Talks. We're taking a few minutes to have a quick conversation with various community leaders and in the sport of triathlon to give you a bit of a glimpse in the inner workings of our sport. I'm your host, Sebastian Porton. I'm the Executive Director with Triathlon Alberta. And with me today is Evan, who's one of our partners this season with Versa MC. Evan, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and the philosophy behind Versa MC and also like where you kind of located?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having us, Sebastian. It's great to be on here, and our relationship with Tri Alberta so far has been really fantastic. So we really appreciate that. Myself, I'm a physiotherapist and owner of Versa MC or Versa Movement Collective. We're located in Southwest Calgary, in the Springbank area, and kind of the philosophy behind the clinic. Really, Versa Movement Collective kind of came out of the ideas we're really trying to create a community of professionals that specialize in movement and different types of movement, and helping people kind of get better and prevent injuries in different ways. So it's really about a collaborative effort and a collaborative approach in our case.
Oh, that's really great to hear. What was kind of like the inspiration of working with like triathletes in particular?
Well, triathlon is a couple things, I guess. Triathlon's fantastic because you don't just have one sport to deal with, right? You know, if you've got somebody with a shoulder injury from swimming, you also have to deal with what they're doing on the bike, and you have to deal with what they're doing on the run as well. So it's a really, it's a complex sport. It really is. So from a injury prevention and a rehab side, it's a really interesting sport to work within because there's so many different facets. There's a lot of psychology involved. There's a lot of issues with training load and all of those sorts of things. So it really gives us an opportunity to be able to collaborate with a lot of other professionals on the psychology side, the coaching side, and everything. So it's really interesting overall. And of course, the other thing that we really love is just the passion and the drive that the clients have. It's really fantastic. A lot of the times the issue is kind of trying to pull the reins in on people rather than having them motivated to do something to help themselves. And so it sometimes presents itself with a different set of problems, but I mean, those are good problems to have anytime you're dealing with really motivated people that really care about taking care of themselves. And, granted, we're a physiotherapy clinic. Our main goal is to have clients that aren't hurt. And so once somebody finds us after an injury, then, triathletes especially are very invested in prevention and keeping themselves, out of the acute rehab side of the clinic. So they're really receptive to the education and the training, and they're really receptive to the education part of it. So it's excellent.
Awesome. So I hear that you guys do like gait analysis. Can you tell us a little bit about that and like what athletes can kind of expect from that?
Yeah, so our gait analysis, what we start with is some range of motion testing. So just basic, very specific. How much does your ankle move? How much does your knee move? Your hip move? Kind of everything that's specific to running. Then we do some muscle testing to actually quantify strength in the different running muscles that are associated with being able to do it. And then what we do after that is we sort of have a functional movement screen that's specific for running. So what that means is we're taking you through some sort of big movement patterns, squats, touch your toes, balance exercises, not a lot of coaching. So we're just seeing how you sort of react through those. Then what we do is we get into the running side of things. So we start with video analysis on the treadmill. We actually have our athletes run at 3 different speeds, sort of a slow speed to get used to things, then kind of a self-selected, medium speed, which is kind of the speed most people will just go out and run at. And then we have people run kind of as fast as they can, as long as they can hold it for 2 minutes. And that's always interesting because we see how running technique changes as people speed up, but also as we induce fatigue, we start to see some of the things that maybe plague people into their races. It's people generally aren't struggling with running in the first 5 kilometers or 2 kilometers, right? It's later on once fatigue sets in. And of course, the video analysis, or the treadmill, allows us to shoot video, because that's pretty hard to do outside. Then we have an outdoor component where we have technology where we're able to collect data as people run. So that gives us real world data. They also use that technology on the treadmill as well. And that's often interesting because, especially living in Western Canada or Alberta specifically, a lot of triathletes have to train on treadmills during the winter. And then they move outside onto the road. So it is beneficial for us to be able to see how they are in the two different conditions in terms of their running and how it changes. We can also use the data that we collect to see what's happening with the lower body depending on different shoes. So a lot of times, if somebody brings in a couple different pairs of shoes, we can analyze between the two different pairs of shoes. But we really pride ourselves on being able to get the information in the real world when they're actually running outside, because that is a lot different than what happens on the treadmill. And of course, triathlons are done outside, not on the treadmill. So then we take all of that information and figure out what to do with it. Is this a strength issue? Is this a range of motion issue? Is it a running technique issue? Generally what we're looking to do after that is sort of plug the holes with exercise programs. We have strength coaches, we have in-house strength coaches. We also have strength coaches in the community that we refer to. And we also have running coaches in the community that we refer to as well. So if it's not a physical problem and it's more of a technique problem, then we really encourage people to hook up with a coach and get that education. So that kind of sticks with our philosophy of the Movement Collective, and we don't try to do everything ourselves in that sense. So with that data, what we're looking for the most part in runners is really we're trying to tease out the asymmetries in running. And we often tell our clients, asymmetries in running is kind of like driving your car when it needs a wheel alignment. You can do it, but problems happen, and in triathlon especially, the run's the last thing, you're already tired. So it's really easy for those asymmetries and hence movement compensations that follow to creep up and cause an injury in training or on race day.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really like that community aspect as well. Like to use those coaches in the community as well. That's really interesting and really good. So I understand VersaMC ran 3 webinars throughout March with TriAB. How did those go?
That was interesting. That's not something we had done before, especially seminars talking to a computer when you don't have any interaction with the people on the other side immediately. So yeah, it was interesting. I think it was good. They were well received. We got really good questions we got excellent questions in follow-up emails afterwards too. I just actually answered one last week actually, and it's definitely been over a month since we did our last one. So yeah, it was a nice way to engage with the Tri-Alberta community and just help to spread some information and still connecting with those people and helping people out. So yeah, it was great.
Oh, that's awesome. And will we see you out at some of the events this coming summer as well?
Well, that's not something that we have talked about at length, I guess. But certainly we were able to do a few last year with COVID restrictions being lifted, and yeah, we're always keen to get out. So hopefully we will be at a few this year.
Awesome. And thank you, Evan, for taking the time to chat with us today for Tri Talks. And definitely looking forward to seeing you again in person sometime this summer.
Absolutely. Yeah, we really, really appreciate it.